Tonight, the lacrosse teams get in the win column.
Plus, we look ahead into the college basketball offseason.
Thank you for joining us. Golden Eagle Sports Report starts right now.
Slam dunk! Oh, that's a poster.
Live from the Jeannie Hayes Virtual Studio at Marquette University. This is Golden Eagle Sports Report.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dennis Rayner, joined by Adrian Fraga. The women's lacrosse team welcomes the Villanova Wildcats to Valley Fields to continue Big East play. And Adrian, this one's a tight one.
Yes, it is, Dennis. Villanova opens the scoring after nearly 6 minutes of pure defense. Marquette responds quickly with a strike from senior Hannah Bodner, and the two can't be separated as the two trade a set of goals to keep the deadlock toward the end of the quarter.
The Golden Eagles close out the first with a deadlock-breaking goal from first-year Danny Serrano, the 26th goal of her record-setting breakout season. Going into the second, the Golden Eagles go on an all-out attack, outscoring the Wildcats 4-1.
Goals from junior Riley Jenkins and Sarah Beth Burns and first-year Ella Motts help put the Golden Eagles into pole position. Villanova pulls a goal back toward the middle of the quarter, and the Golden Eagles go on another scoring run. This time, it's a 4-0 streak to close out the half.
2 goals each from seniors Tess Osborne and Hannah Bodner help give the Golden Eagles an 8-goal lead going into the break. Out of the half, the two teams go back and forth, with each netting 3 apiece.
Junior Riley Jenkins scores 2 of the 3 for the Golden Eagles, and senior Tess Osborne captures another goal for her senior season tally. And to close out the game, they say defense wins, and in this case, Dennis, it's definitely this game.
Both Marquette and Villanova hold each other scoreless for over 10 minutes in the fourth quarter before sophomore Isabel Casucci nets 2 to seal the deal for the Golden Eagles. The Golden Eagles defend home turf with a commanding 16-8 win. The team returns to action next week against the Butler Bulldogs for Senior Day at Valley Fields. That game will start at 2 p.m.
Marquette travels to Queens, New York to take on the Red Storm of St. John's. The match was tightly contested throughout, but an early bright spot for the Golden Eagles is senior Andrew Bowman. The Canada product got his first career start at attacker, Dennis.
That is right, Adrian, and he capitalized with a career-high 4 points. The Johnnies have a strong output in the first period with 3 goals, but Marquette is able to chip away with 2 goals to notch up the score at 4 going into halftime.
The Golden Eagles take a 10-8 lead in the fourth quarter behind goals from Bowman and Carson Brandt. But the Johnnies do not give up, and they tie the game up at 10 with a late surge in the final minutes of regulation.
Both teams failed on opportunities in the first overtime period as the defense comes up clutch for both sides. But an opportunity comes up for the Golden Eagles, and Brandt finds Nolan Rappis to win it in double overtime by a score of 11-10.
Marquette improves to 2-0 in Big East play for the first time since 2022 and 6-4 overall in the year. Brandt accumulates 7 points and 5 assists, which are both career highs for the junior.
Marquette returns to action on Saturday in Washington, D.C. to take on the defending Big East champs in Georgetown.
Taking it back to last week, the women's lacrosse team traveled to the Rockies to face the Denver Pioneers to continue their Big East road trip. And Denver starts the scoring early. The Pioneers go on a 3-0 scoring run to start the game, and Danny Serrano continues her standout first-year season with another goal.
The Golden Eagles pull a goal back to cut the score to 1 with a goal from senior Tess Osborne. However, the Pioneers net another goal before the end of the quarter, going up 2 going into the second frame.
And this second quarter shows the Pioneers defending that home turf as Denver starts with 2 goals in rapid succession to start the quarter. The Golden Eagles are able to find the back of the net soon after as junior Eileen Dooley strikes her first goal in 5 games. Wow.
The Pioneers keep the goals in fashion as they outscore Marquette 5-2 going into the break. Coming out of the half, Marquette looks to get back into the game.
And they sure do. After Denver finds the back of the net once more, the Golden Eagles outscore the Pioneers 3-0 to close out the quarter. 2 goals from senior Hannah Bodner and a goal from first-year Ella Motts help cut the Denver lead down to 4.
We can't forget about the defense either. The Golden Eagles held Denver scoreless for over 13 minutes of play. In the fourth quarter, Denver seals the victory, outscoring Marquette 4-1 to close it out. The Golden Eagles cannot muster the altitude, falling to Denver 15-9. Senior Tess Osborne tallies 5 points in the performance.
And now moving on to basketball, we welcome in METV assistant sports producer Brian Wilson to talk to us about the changes that each basketball team will now face in this upcoming offseason. Brian, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm so glad to be here.
I couldn't have said it better myself. So jumping straight to it, big news for the Golden Eagles immediately as junior star Skylar Forbes enters the transfer portal. Brian, are you surprised by this move from Forbes, and how can Marquette kind of replace her?
I'm not surprised at all. This was something that I expected. It was a conversation I had with fellow reporters, Jack Albright, Raquel Ruiz, and Mikey Severson after our trip to Connecticut for the Women's Big East Tournament. That was something that I thought was going to be happening due to the playing time earlier this season, around late December, early January. Skylar Forbes missed a couple games, and then she was coming off the bench. One of the questions I asked Coach Consuegra was this a thing to kind of learn off the bench? Like we hear a lot of NBA coaches and WNBA coaches and college coaches say they like some of their players seeing the game from a different angle. And she just said this was kind of what we had to do in this moment in time. Not really a great answer there, but this was something that I kind of foresaw. I thought Hallie Weiss would also leave, but Hallie also made her decision of staying a week or two earlier. And Skylar, as you mentioned, entered the portal earlier this week. But Marquette only has 4 players on their roster: Hallie Weiss, J.J. Barnes, who missed all of last season with a knee injury that she suffered preseason. And then Cam Herring, who played limited minutes, had a really good game against Iowa State where she hit a few threes. And then Jordan Melmans, who's a Butler transfer, and it's going to be really a big three-point specialist. She didn't really live up to the expectations that were laid for her when she got here, but 10 open roster spots for this Golden Eagles squad, and they're going to have to go to the portal. But that's kind of what happens for Coach Consuegra when she builds her roster around veterans, and then you bring the entire roster back. They knew there'd be open spots, and obviously the thought of Skylar transferring was not in the cards, but things happen in this new age of NIL and transfer portal. It's more and more like the pros.
Skylar Forbes was so stellar for Marquette last year. I mean, any player putting up over 15 points a game, that's going to be a huge loss regardless. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Coach Consuegra kind of goes about that. But in addition to Forbes leaving, Marquette also loses key contributors Jada Mason and Lee Volker, who will need to step up next season for Marquette. You mentioned Hallie Weiss.
Yeah, it's going to have to. Hallie is the name that comes to mind because she was, honestly, you could argue, was their best player this past year. She had over 10 double-doubles. This season was their most consistent player in that loss to Creighton at Mohegan Sun Arena for the Women's Big East Tournament. She played very well against UConn here in Milwaukee. No one really played well in that game in Hartford. But at the end of the day, it's going to be Hallie Weiss and it's going to be Jordan Melmans of this current roster, because I can't predict anybody who I don't know is going to be on their roster. Even if they're crystal ball, nothing is 100% in this world. But another name is J.J. Barnes. They had really high expectations for her going into this past season. Obviously, as I mentioned, she did not play, and that was a loss that they felt that was going to have an impact on them early in the season. And by season's end, with the loss of Olivia Porter to that knee injury, and then Kennedy Perkins as well, just not living up to expectations. J.J. Barnes was a massive loss this season that not a lot of people even realize if you don't pay attention to the team as much as we do. And I think she's going to have to take a big step, and she is someone, even though she hasn't played, knows what the expectations are for Coach Consuegra, and it's going to be a big part of what they're doing going forward.
So, Brian, on top of obviously Marquette's team losing, having 10 open roster spots, like you said, there's also been changes to the coaching staff for Coach Consuegra. So what can you tell us about those changes, Brian?
Shia Meyer, she was on the staff a season ago and is now going to be the head coach at Bradley University. So great job for her. And Shaila Boykin, as you see on that graphic behind us, is hired as an assistant coach and a recruiting coordinator. She was formerly an assistant coach at South Florida. So this is an addition that she's kind of moving up the ranks in her coaching journey. But it's also, I think the most interesting there is for a new coach to be added as recruiting coordinator, that somebody has expectations to really bring in a lot of players and be a pivotal part when it comes to recruiting. So that's, I think, what Coach Boykin is definitely going to be a big part of, and that was kind of the two main changes to the staff. And Coach Consuegra feels her philosophy aligns very well with what Marquette is laying in what will now be the third season under Coach Consuegra.
Well, Brian, moving on now to the men's side, head coach Shaka Smart has also made some changes to his staff. So what changes I see Nevada Smith behind us now. What changes have happened?
Yeah, he's going to be the head coach for the Siena Saints. He is replacing Syracuse legend and now Syracuse head coach Jerry McNamara. Coach McNamara actually reached out to Nevada Smith, wishing him luck, which is great coach etiquette, which is a great thing to see from Coach McNamara. But he is a very NBA-like head coach. He coached Tyler Kulik, Oso Ighodaro, Cam Jones, some of the key players here that are now playing at the association currently. But he also was a G League coach where he coached Duncan Robinson and coached under Eric Spoelstra, who gave him high praise, saying he's one of the most innovative minds he's ever been around, and that is one of the best coaches in the NBA right now. So he is definitely going to be a big loss here, but another loss for the Marquette Golden Eagles, as no longer on the staff is DeAndre Haynes. He went back to the Texas days with Coach Smarts. That's really the first coach. These are really the first major coaching changes for this, and now what will be year 6 for Shaka Smart, which I think says a lot. And we talk about the players movement all the time, but to really have a staff with a lot of continuity can be a good thing and a bad thing, in the sense that maybe you're not reaching to as far as you want to go, that your coaches have to stay, but now they have some of those big changes, and then they are also bringing in a former assistant of Shaka Smart, Jeremy Ballard, who was an assistant from 2012 to 2015, right after that magical first four to Final Four run for Shaka Smart, and then he went to be the FIU coach, and is now back with Shaka Smart. So that's the big incoming change on the staff for Marquette.
Well, Brian, I'm going to give you a little fun fact. I actually went to high school like 5 minutes away from FIU, so what a small world. But thank you, Brian, so much for your incredible insight. Coming up, Jake Dale reads some more of your mail. Plus, we announce our weekly award winners. So catch more of GSR right after this quick break.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies. Because when people are fed, futures are nourished. Everyone deserves to live a full life. And with your help, together we can end hunger. Join the movement at feedingamerica.org/act now.
Welcome to Marquette. We're going to have this thing. Welcome to Marquette.
When you arrive ready for something good, you'll leave connected to something greater. Marquette University.
Welcome back to GSR. Once again, I'm Dennis Rayner.
And I'm Adrian Fraga. So we had so much fun with a special segment last show that we decided to run it back and bring it here once again. So Jake Dale, our assistant sports producer, is waiting for us in Studio 7 with some more mail. Jake?
Good evening and welcome to the second iteration of Dale Mail. Once again, we have an expansive batch of letters from folks all across the country. I come to you live from Studio 7 reading all these letters for the very first time. As the Masters starts up again and college basketball season came to a close on Monday, we should have plenty to talk about. So let's get right into it. Again, have our mailbox here, have a bunch of letters tonight. So let's dive right in. Our first letter is from Esteban in Coral Gables. Esteban says, the Heat are in the play-in tournament for the millionth year and I'm tired of it. I need Pat Riley to wake up and lock in or retire. What can the Heat do to compete in the East again? Well, despite Bam Adebayo's 53-point performance that outpassed Kobe Bryant of all people, he's not the answer, nor is anyone else in Miami. You need to blow it up. That's the main thing for Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley, is that you don't have the answers in-house. I know Heat culture is all about winning, is all about not tanking, not losing, not letting those losses pile up and weigh on the fan base. But to be honest, in order to have your face of a franchise, you need to get to the top of a draft, and they just haven't done that. Thank you so much, though, Esteban. This one says, to Jakey Poo. That's a little insane. This one says, hey, Jacob, I've seen you around campus. I watch every episode you're on. I'm watching you right now. All right. Anyways, just wanted to say I love you, seriously, from your secret admirer. Okay. Don't write me letters like this. I'm not. That's not. All right. We're just gonna move on. This one is from Connor Stallions in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Love your segment on the show you have going on. Just wanted to know where you rank this 2026 Michigan team when it comes to the past 10 champions. Elliot Cadeau is the greatest point guard of all time. P.S. We didn't cheat. Double P.S. I'm spying on you right now. I know what color shirt you're wearing. All right. Thank you, Connor Stallions. I hope you're not in my closet tonight. This Michigan team was fantastic, honestly, and you talk about their front court with Yaxel Lendenborg and Morez Johnson. That's really where they lie. Dusty May did a fantastic job of creating this team. Where they rank, I would put them probably somewhere in that top 5. Some of those UConn teams recently have been unbelievable, paired with past Duke teams. You think about a lot of teams that are really, really good. I think about 2003 Syracuse was super quality. I'm not really sure where this team ranks. I think a lot of that will have to do with success in the league. You talk a little bit about Elliot Cadeau. I'm not super confident in him and the way that he'll be able to transfer to the league, but we'll see with Yaxel Lendenborg and Morez Johnson. Thank you for the letter, and thank you for the comment on my shirt. Dear Jacob, Rory McIlroy currently leads the Masters after day 1. Yes, he does. Will he repeat as champion, or is it too early to tell? I await your response. This is from Francis B. in St. Simon Islands, Georgia. Oh, St. Simon's a great place. Yeah, Rory's unbelievable. He had a press conference quote, I think it was after today. He just talked about how calm he was. You know, he talked about how all of the demons that had haunted him in these past couple of years of feeling like not being able to do the thing, it was tough. It was tough on him, and now it's not as tough. He's calm, he's cool, he's collected. Him and Sam Burns are leading the way after day 1, so I'm super confident in Rory and what he's able to do. Well, that's all the time we have, so thank you for your fantastic letters this week. I'll send it back to Adrian in Studio 6 for weekly awards and more.
Thank you so much, Jake. But now it's time for a GSR staple as we highlight some of our very own weekly award winners. Starting us off is Hannah Boner from the women's lacrosse team, as she is our MVP of the week. The graduate midfielder tallied 8 points, 8 draw controls, and 6 ground balls in the week. Moving on to our team of the week, we have the men's lacrosse team. The boys are coming off a thrilling double overtime win over the St. John's Red Storm, winning 11-10. They're currently undefeated in Big East play for the first time since the 2022 season. And finally, we have our rising star of the week, and no surprises here as Danny Serrano continues to dominate. The first year has led the women's lacrosse team in points in the past week with 9, and she's now coming off a 6-point game versus Villanova. Dennis, we got a lot of sports coming up this week in Marquette, so what can you tell us about them?
Coming up this weekend in Marquette Athletics, track and field host the Marquette Invitational. And while there are a few field events on Friday, most of the events take place on Saturday down at Valley Fields.
This is the 3rd year in a row that Marquette has hosted their Invitational at Valley Fields.
The Marquette Invite is the 3rd outdoor event for track and field in 2026.
Meanwhile, men's lacrosse heads to the nation's capital.
The Golden Eagles travel to D.C. coming off back-to-back overtime wins versus Big East foes.
Marquette looks to continue their Big East conquest versus the Hoyas at 11 a.m. Central. Be sure to keep an eye on Marquette's Carson Brandt, who put up 2 goals and 5 assists in their wins over St. John's. Brandt was with the lone Golden Eagle to earn a Big East honor roll not this past week.
In another road match, Marquette women's volleyball travels to face the Illini. It is Marquette's 3rd exhibition match of the year.
Women's volleyball continues to prep for the fall as head coach Tom Mendoza, 2nd year at the helm. It's going to be an interesting season.
It will be. And finally, men's soccer travels to beautiful Peoria, Illinois to play against the Bradley Braves.
I hear Peoria is beautiful this time of year.
It really should be. Yeah, well, their match with the Braves is their 3rd official scrimmage of the year as they ready for the regular season.
Coming up next, a surprising new face in Chapel Hill.
Plus, who will be crowned Rookie of the Year?
Be sure to stick around and find out after this quick break.
Love is a lesson that doesn't end. It knows no conditions, so you better buckle in. Love keeps you on your toes. It never stops, only grows. Love isn't easy, it's a commitment, especially when they're being their most resistant. Love is finding the right seat so you can take a breath. But remember, love isn't lax, it always double checks. Check that your kids are in the right seat at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies. Because when people are fed, futures are nourished. Everyone deserves to live a full life. And with your help, together we can end hunger. Join the movement at feedingamerica.org/act now.
Studio 7 as we discuss the latest news in professional and collegiate basketball. Joining me on the panel tonight is Dennis Rayner and Zach Pomainville. I'm Brian Olson. Let's get started. The University of North Carolina has hired former Denver Nuggets head coach Mike Malone to succeed Hubert Davis as the leader of the Tar Heels. Malone led the Nuggets to an NBA title in 2023 before his dismissal last season. With Carolina's recent hire of pro coaches, most notably Bill Belichick, and in other sports as well, will this hire help the program or will it set the program back, going back to the drawing board next season? What do you think, Dennis?
I think hire came out of nowhere, but I don't think it's a bad hire. You look at former NBA coaches who are also successful college coaches. First two that come to my mind, Rick Pitino, coached with a record of 90-74 in the NBA. And also Fred Hoiberg just led Nebraska to their best season in their history. He had a record of 115 and 155 losses. And obviously Mike Malone's better coach than that in the NBA. Had 463 wins, 362 losses, but also most notably had an NBA championship in his stint.
Before you go, Zach, can we talk about Rick Pitino being a good NBA coach?
Yeah.
I'm a Boston.
Yeah,
I'm from New England, fan of the Boston Celtics. He was horrendous. Probably the worst coach in the history of the program, the team, and then the Knicks. I think St. John's fans, even though they're all Knicks fans, kind of forget his stint in Manhattan. But yeah, he's a good college coach. He's an elite college coach. But I would never, when I think of the NBA, Rick Pitino is not the name that comes to mind. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, absolutely
I just had to
not.
input that.
Look, I completely agree with Brian here. I think it kind of sticks to another point too. I think that coaches are a lot better when they stick to their one spot. It's harder in college, you know what I mean? Obviously there are a lot of good college coaches that go to the NBA and they succeed, right? And somewhat vice versa. I'd say it's a lot harder for you to go to the top league to the bottom league. I'd say Mike Malone could have gotten a NBA coaching job. I don't really know why he didn't look for one. But maybe not next year. I don't think they crash and burn this year. But I don't think that UNC is going to be very happy about this decision because it's hard for a guy who's been in the league over a decade to just come back to college and try to, be with the players, right? I don't see it working out with recruiting, and it's just, it's hard with such a big name, but it's also you don't resonate with the players as much as you do if you're a consistent college coach.
Yeah, and apparently his daughter does play for the North Carolina volleyball team, and apparently she was a big reason why he decided to take the head coaching job in Chapel Hill. But you kind of talked about NBA. College basketball is more like the NBA than it ever was. So I think this is an opportunity. We see Kevin Young with BYU as an assistant on Frank Vogel's staff in Phoenix.
It's weird too, the whole UNC, how they've changed. They used to be this big blue blood who everybody knew basketball, basketball powerhouse, right? And it feels like they're trying to just establish their name again when it's you guys just do what you've been doing. You know what I mean? Don't be making splash moves. The Bill Belichick thing was just kind of this kind of feels like a similar thing to Bill Belichick where it's get this big name who was in pro and then bring him here.
Yeah, but when they brought in Roy Williams from Kansas, he was a big name, and that's been the thought of North Carolina for years.
But he wasn't a pro.
No one wanted that job.
That's
So the men's basketball national championship just wrapped up as the Michigan Wolverines defeated the Connecticut Huskies on Monday night. This was UConn's third Final Four and national championship appearance under head coach Dan Hurley. Despite the loss, has UConn proven themselves as the gold standard in recent college basketball, or does someone else kind of sneak behind them and knock them out? What do you think,
I think
Zach?
they're obviously the gold standard because they have all these wins and they're a really good team consistently. But I think it was very nice to see them lose one. Finally, especially for my friend Brian here, who is a diehard UConn fan.
Whoa. I'm not a diehard UConn fan.
He will not admit it, but it's true.
Just because you're from the worst state in this union in Connecticut does not mean I am a UConn fan. I don't want to hear
You talked about them consistently, like every time that we talk sports.
Well, when you win as much as they have, and having 6 championships since 1999, that's pretty impressive. But I don't want to hear the blasphemy from your mouth. Over here, Dennis.
With 6 championships.
I do not have a tattoo, by the way.
I think UConn has really established himself as a team to look out for and as a blue blood. They use kind of recruiting out of high school, but also pick what they need. I mean, Terrace Reed transfer from Michigan, arguably their best player in the tournament. Three championship appearances in the last 4 years, nothing to look past. I don't think there's much. At least right now, there's not many teams to really compete for that, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely for now. I was more making the point that Brian is a diehard UConn fan that he doesn't want to admit.
I think Duke's up there has to be. There's the only 2 teams that are thought of blue bloods are right now that have been at that level have been Duke and Connecticut. Michigan maybe one day, but
I feel like Duke should have been in that final though. I mean, I think that final would have been a lot better if Duke made it instead of UConn.
It was a 6-point game. It was better than the Arizona game.
I mean, yes, but they played them better than. But I think Duke was still an overall better team than UConn. UConn won off that wild shot at the end that we talked about.
They're a better coach team. Dan Hurley is one of the best coaches in basketball right now.
20-point lead at one point.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there was a lot to go with that game. I just think that Duke was overall the better team. They had a better roster.
You know what would have helped? Put your hands up. Block the ball. You can't do it. Braylon Mullins. An absolute dagger.
This is why he's a UConn fan. Does everybody see it now? Do we see it now?
Play defense and you win the game, or get fouled. You know the situation. Duke was not situationally ready, and UConn took advantage. To another aspect of basketball, but kind of connecting the Duke side into it. The NBA regular season is concluding, which means the Rookie of the Year race is as hot as ever. Milwaukee native Con Knippel and his former Blue Devil teammate Cooper Flagg currently lead the odds to win the award. Will it be one of the former Duke stars, or is there a dark horse candidate in this race? What do you think, Dennis?
I think, in my opinion, Con Knippel, I think he should be the front runner. I mean, most threes by a rookie in NBA history. In the latest Kia Rookie of the Year rankings, they had Con number 1. Just really bringing the Charlotte Hornets team to another level. Never really a good team, but this year they've been competitive in a fight for the playoffs. I mean, immediately made that team better. He's always been a winner.
I don't know. I mean, Con Knippel had a great start of the year, and he was obviously the front runner at the start of the year, right? But Cooper Flagg has been progressively better over the course of the entire season. I mean, in the last month, he's averaged 24 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, and 5 assists per game, right? The only other players who are doing that is Luka Doncic, Jaylen Brown, and Nikola Jokic. I mean, it's crazy what he's been doing, and he's having a phenomenal rookie year. I think, obviously, Con Knippel had the biggest lead imaginable at the start of the year, halfway through the year, 3/5 through the year, but Cooper Flagg at the end of this year has been dominant. And I mean, it's easy to say that, Con Knippel is making the Charlotte Hornets win, right? One of the first time in a while they've been winning. But, winning doesn't really matter at this point, I feel like, for the Rookie of the Year. Because it's so many Rookies of the Year have been on terrible teams, and they've just been completely dominant.
Normally, I'd have to agree with my friend Dennis the Menace over here, but I'm going to go with a Boston Celtic, Ugo Gonzalez, who has the best plus-minus in the history of the NBA for a rookie. Formerly, it was Tim Duncan. So when you think of Tim Duncan, you think of Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer. our Spanish god, Hugo Gonzalez. And he also has part of the best duo in the NBA currently in Derek White
I don't
and
know
himself.
where your journalistic integrity is, but all right.
Journalistic integrity. You talked about I having a Yukon tattoo. I don't want to hear it, and neither does everyone else. So thanks for the great discussion. We are out of time. Tune in next week for all of our coverage of Marquette sports and more. For Dennis Rayner and Zach Pahone, Mainville, I am Brian Wilson. Good night, Marquette.
He's a Yukon.